Hey there. Have a seat. Smoke? No? Good call. Tell me, have you heard the story of Mifune Koneko? No? Well, let me tell you. It all starts a lot longer ago than you'd imagine. It was the 1940s, a time of great scientific discovery and experimentation. One particular laboratory, tucked away in the countryside, was home to a groundbreaking project. The lead researcher, Dr. Frank N. Stein, had become obsessed with the idea of creating human-animal hybrids. After years of failed attempts, he finally managed to successfully merge the DNA of a cat and a human. The result was a beautiful but wild creature, a cat girl named Mifune Koneko. She had the agility and senses of a cat, but the intelligence and emotions of an average teen girl. Dr. Frankenstein was in awe of his creation and was determined to understand her capabilities and limits. For years, Mifune was subjected to numerous experiments and tests. She was isolated from the outside world and treated like a lab rat. But, despite the harsh conditions, Mifune's spirit remained unbroken. She longed for freedom and a normal life, but she knew that was impossible. As the years went by, Mifune began to show extraordinary abilities. She could communicate telepathically with other animals, and her physical agility surpassed even the most highly trained acrobats. However, her growth was stunted, and she never aged beyond her teenage years. But, despite her unique nature, she was just a young girl at heart, curious and full of wonder. She spent her days exploring the laboratory where she was created, playing with the various animals kept there for testing, and learning all she could about the world she was a part of. But, as the years went by, the scientists grew old, and their experiments became too risky to continue. Mifune was deemed a failure and was set to be disposed of. Desperate to save her life, she managed to escape the laboratory, unaware of the dangers that awaited her in the outside world. It was the 1950s, and the world was still recovering from the aftermath of the war. People were wary of anything that seemed out of the ordinary, and Mifune's appearance caused quite a stir. She was taken in by a kind old couple who saw her as a curious creature rather than a threat. She eventually embraced various typical activities like attending sock hops, participating in backseat bingos, and being a ravenous fan of Elvis Presley. All hail the king. But fate had other plans for Mifune. As she wandered through the forest near her new home, she came across a beautiful and deadly snake. Mesmerized by its scales and movements, she couldn't resist getting closer. But the creature struck, and Mifune was left to die in the wilderness. For the next few decades, Mifune lived a nomadic life, hiding her true identity and avoiding human contact. However, in the 1970s, her luck ran out when she encountered a vicious bear in the woods. Despite her hiding abilities, she was no match for the powerful animal, and, once again, faced death. Let's be real for a second. Mifune was so high that she tried to hug the bear. Anyway. But death seemed to have a strange fascination with Mifune, for in 2005, she took her final breath yet again, this time at the hands of Trunk.wav. A term used to describe the act of being killed by suffocating in the locked trunk of a car. Some said it was her fate, others believed it was simply bad luck. But Mifune's story was far from over. Years went by, and Mifune stayed in the mansion, becoming a legend among the locals. Some claimed to have seen a cat-like girl wandering the woods, while others dismissed it as a mere folktale. But the truth was, Mifune still resided in the abandoned mansion, forever haunted by memories of her past lives. She had learned to embrace her unique existence and had found a sense of peace in the solitude of the woods. And so, she remains there to this day, a mysterious and enigmatic figure, a reminder of the consequences of tampering with nature. And that's the story. Whether you believe me or not, I'll leave it up to you. Nice chatting with you. I'll see you around.